That's right. We're back again. Education committee from yesterday. Going to be a pretty short video overall. I saw the agenda for this and I was like, oh, the Mind Trust Rise Indy presentation and overview. Rise Indy. Very funny because I was just looking at campaign reports last night for Joey Hogballs and I thought to myself, that's a name that sounds familiar. Rise Indy. So there's two ways that you can check out campaign reports. You can go straight to the hard copy, or you can go to Open Transparency. I will normally go to the hard copy because if you try putting in somebody's name, you won't always get the data that you want. As in, if I were to say, I want to look up Bart Peterson, you put in Bart Peterson, can't really find so much. But then if you start going through the hard copies, then you'll actually find Bart Peterson. So, Rise Indy uh, gave old Joey Hogballs 53 grand last year. Then I was checking out Keith Graves, and look at that, 2,500 teal Keith Graves. And who is the chair of the Education Committee? Keith Graves. Hmm? Very interesting. Also gave him $500 in 2021. So this is what I was talking about with open transparency or transparencyusa.org. I call it open transparency, but you can go by the year. So we can go out 2024. Oh, look at that. Did not just give $2,500 to Keith Graves, but also gave $2,500 to Maggie Lewis. Go figure. Folks, this is just how it works every single time. It's all handshakes and hand jobs, so don't get too upset or get very upset and but don't do anything crazy. All right, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just reporting of what I find out. So going forward, that's not what I want. Education committee should be fun, hopefully.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Education Committee for the City County Council.
This was also interesting too. Let's see if I can find it. Now this is a list of all the people that are on the committees. The green dots are the freshmen. And so this was one that all the committee assignments got released earlier this year. There are how many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 people on this committee. 2 of them are freshmen. Of course, they spelled Josh Bain's name wrong because whoever is putting this together does not know how to spell. Good on the education committee, which is very funny. You know, it's hilarious. I don't know if it was a joke or whatever it was, but there are 9 people on this committee, including my counselor Jessica McCormick, who is allegedly a teacher. And there are how many people here today? Only 4. So whenever people talk about education being so important, just remember they didn't show up. Where is my counselor anyway? I did not see her at any committee meetings last month. Anyway, moving on.
Today, June 4th, 2024.
I don't know what's going on with the volume
First, I
either.
would like to ask my fellow councilors to introduce themselves and state the district in which they serve.
Turn off
Starting with
your
Councilor
phone.
bottom right, bottom left.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh Bain representing District 21 on the far southwest side.
I like that jacket, but I prefer the suspenders. I think the suspenders. I know you guys don't give a shit, but I prefer the suspenders. I think it's that old school element of going to doing politics.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Paul Hart, representing District 20.
Still like
Thank
the
you, Mr.
jacket
Chairman.
though.
Dr. Carlos Perkins, representing District 6,
Doctor of Ministry. Never forget. Never forget.
Pike and Washington Townships.
Awesome. And I am Keith Graves, Chair of the Education Committee. Today, we do not have any proposals on the agenda this evening, but we do have a presentation I'm extremely excited about.
Are you?
Let's see here.
Because you got a bunch of money from Rise Indy. Man. You are the chair of this committee. You need to get off Pornhub and get back to work.
I just lost my. Well, tonight we're going to receive a presentation from Rise Indy, Dwayne Ingram. We had two organizations on the agenda tonight. There was withdrawal as a result of a scheduling conflict. So we will receive some awesome information from Rise Indy on what they do in the world of education here in our city. Thank you, Dwayne Ingram from Rise Indy.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Councilor Graves. To the committee of esteemed councilors, thank you for the opportunity to introduce Rise Indy to, excuse me, to this committee and to the work that you all do. My name is Dwayne Ingram, and I'm honored to serve as the Vice President of Community Affairs for Rise Indy, and presenting under my portfolio of work. I'm responsible for external communications as well as programming for the organization. And one of our programs that we're going to talk about today is Freedom Readers. So we're really excited to kind of introduce the program to you all and also give you a bit of high-level context information of who Rise Indy is and what we do. We always start in grounding in our values, and our values are our work and education policy agenda are based in three core values. Students should be at the center of all education decisions, so we always lead with what's best for the students. Families should be empowered to choose and advocate for what's best for their children.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that there should be a choice, like a school choice maybe, as long as it benefits the children?
Which means the parents should make the decision, not adults that are not in the household, because parents know what's best for their children. And three, educators should have autonomy and flexibility to meet the needs of their students.
Unless that parent is trying to mutilate that child. I'm just saying.
Meaning we support school leaders having the autonomy and the ability to make strong decisions that impact their school versus people who may not be directly in the schools. And our mission is to we serve our community and Indianapolis students by convening a diverse group of local residents to improve public schools, and we create opportunities for students to bring together parents by bringing together parents, teachers, students, and community leaders to move the mission forward.
Working splendidly.
So for the sake of this conversation, we're going to provide a high-level overview of what Freedom Readers is. You'll hear some testimonial from one of our parents who has gone through our Freedom Readers programming, and you'll also hear some very exciting presentation that one of our students received. And then we'll have time for questions at the end.
Wonderful.
So Freedom Readers is a tiered program where we actually went to Oakland a few years back. Actually, we took the mayor and...
Why? Dude, Oakland is a shithole. They just announced today that their DPW, their Public Works Department, just announced today that they're not going to be fixing any of the potholes because it's so dangerous, and they are in fearing of their life because of all the gang activity and homeless people.
Councilor Graves was we're honored to have him join us, and we heard from an organization called Oakland Reach, and that organization has what's called a Literacy Liberators, where they take parents and train them in the sciences of reading, as well as the literacy model that's taught in the Oakland classrooms, and they teach that specifically to parents. And then at the end of the fellowship, the parents are positioned to serve as tutors with the school district. And because of that second tier level of support in the classroom, the students that have interacted with those tutors have seen exponential growth as far as literacy outcomes and moving the needle, trending literacy outcomes in the right direction. So as we were exploring ways to bring new ideas to the Indianapolis education landscape, we took this model and kind of tweaked it for what's best for Indianapolis. And here we have kind of a tiered programming model around literacy and programming, Where the first introduction is what we call our Freedom Readers workshops. And during these workshops, parents receive a high-level dosage of science of reading information, what it is, why literacy is so important, how parents can learn some of the same tools that teachers are learning so that they can become what we call the CEOs of their children's education. Also, we help our parents understand not only why literacy is important in our current climate, but
You know, I feel like reading and writing is important no matter what. And you have to explain to parents, hey, listen, reading and writing is really important in this climate. There's. What are we even doing here, man?
required testing on a state level. iRead, iReady, NWEA, all of those things, and help our parents understand how they can like what does that data and information mean, and also how they can contact the IDOE and request their children's test scores as well, so that they can really and fully understand how their children are performing.
Not like the point of
And
report cards and talking to the teachers and. Oh.
these are 3-hour sessions that we have, where we give our parents this information, and also after our parents complete the workshops, we don't just dump them off and expect them to go and be great. We walk alongside our families, where we provide literacy in action workshops. So just in April, we completed a rhythmic literacy workshop, where we had a rhythm instructor who was trained in the sciences of reading, and she actually taught drumming and literacy at the same time in a fun and interactive way that engaged families and engaged children, and got just a different way to get families and children excited about reading and literacy.
Oh man, I is this because kids don't have an attention span? Like they're on their TikTok all day. I don't know if you guys ever seen that where like it'll be a screen and on the top of the screen they'll be talking about something and then on the bottom of the screen it'll be like someone who's playing a video game. Like they just have to have something there because their attention span is so destroyed by overstimulation of the world. How sad. It's like reading is good for everyone.
So we had a great response from that, and we're excited to offer more second level-ish programming, where we're looking at math literacy through a model called Exponential Prime. We're looking
Math
at, for some of
literacy.
the older children or youth, we're looking at financial literacy. And we're doing something fun and different, where we're going to
Well, yeah. Everybody should know not to overspend the money that they have. I mean, to be fair, that everybody should be doing that. Let's see. Math literacy means having the ability to problem solve, reason, and analyze information using numbers. So doing math, right? Why are we overcomplicating these words? It's just, do you know how to do math? Do you know how to add and subtract?
to introduce a program in the fall, I believe it is, where we're going to teach literacy through cooking. You have to understand recipes and measurements, so it's math, it's literacy, it's all of those things. So we're trying to find fun ways to create opportunities for families to engage with literacy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, kiddo, if you have one apple in your left hand and you have another apple in your right hand, how many apples do you have?
Literacy, and to get excited about this work. So the next couple of slides are just
The bar is just so low. I know. I'm sorry for pausing it, but like the parents need to be more engaged. We basically we're screwed. Everybody out there who might be watching this video right now, you have to understand we are totally screwed. Stop being optimistic about it. If you're a parent, blame yourself because you're the one that fucked this whole thing up because you're lazy.
just a couple of our slides from the actual presentation, so you have an understanding of what we're actually teaching during our
The science of
Freedom Readers
reading.
workshop. And as we look at the science of reading, it's broken up into 5 different disciplines: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So we will go into detail on all 5 of those buckets and pull out examples and also give our parents tactics and tools that they can implement on a nightly or a consistent basis with their children as they're reading at night or doing homework or just working with their children in general.
Wonderful.
And as we look at phonological awareness, there's different, this is just an example of some of the different tools and how they break a word up and implement, help the parents better understand literacy from a phonological awareness component.
Basketball.
And then here's an alphabet chart. So we know that an A in ant may sound different from the A in bake or the A in plan. So for each letter, we walk through the different sounds that letter could use or could have to help parents understand how to work with their children to pronounce, to understand when they recognize certain letter groupings, how to say those words, and then give them the tools to kind of create the reps, because a lot of this is repetition. The more you say plant, it's easier to say ant, or it's easier to say can't. So that repetition to help understand the letter usage. And then it's fluency. It's the ability to read words in a text with sufficient accuracy, automatically, and prosody that serves as vehicles to comprehension. So these are just different, different tactics and tools that we use, and some tips and best practices that we go over with our parents are things like limiting television.
They spelled devices wrong.
Vision time, limiting technology. I know we're living in a post-pandemic world where it's easier to give a kid a tablet or a phone and have them playing a game, but we encourage our parents to limit those screen times
Good
so
luck.
that they have and encourage book time or reading time. And where possible, we encourage our parents to take their children to a museum or an educational place outside of the home that will encourage learning. Don't allow electronic devices, and I didn't correct that word, devices at the dinner table. Actually, that's one that I struggle with because I'm stuck on my phone after hours trying to respond to that final email before it gets too late.
Dude, you're not 0-2 right now. Spelled the wrong. I don't know if somebody else did that slide and it wasn't you, but hey, I'm guilty of this too. Okay, so you're not actually practicing what you preach, is what you're saying. Then why should we even trust you?
But we do encourage our parents to try to limit device time at dinner and encourage talking to children. Because when we're talking to children, we're showing them how words should sound, and we're engaging them in conversation, and we're gifting them with more vocabulary and more opportunities to use these words that they're learning. Talk to your children, support school events or book fairs and things of that nature. Encourage writing. Have a chance to read a book and then write out what you learned or what you understood to be the context of that story. And practice spelling. Have a spelling test. Give your children that spelling test when they're at home. Have them spell the words out and time them and see how many words they can get correct. These are all practices. It's not an all-inclusive list, but these are some of the practices that we have lifted up with our parents as different ways to engage with their children in the space of literacy. Here's just a picture from our rhythmic literacy training
Oh,
there.
these are all foreigners?
And here's just some of the data. To date, we've had 352 parents that have gone through our Freedom Readers Workshop, and that has impacted 449 children.
I can't say it. I can't say it. I totally want to say it, but I can't say it. Let me adjust my.
And
I
the
got
parents
such a
that
good
have
joke, but I can't say
and
it.
students served in 2024 specifically, we've had 87 parents go through our Freedom Readers Workshops, and 191 of those represent students. And our next Freedom Readers Workshop will be scheduled for July 27th. I just got that date confirmed at Barnes United Methodist Church, and we're really excited about that partnership with Pastor Harrison. And we're going to have a second workshop scheduled in the fall. So that information will be available soon. Some of the highlights that we want to lift up, we've had 73, basically 74% of our kids increase their reading accuracy. And this information is self-reported from the parents. So 74% of our parents said when reading to their children, after going through Freedom Readers and receiving the tools that they've learned, 74% of their children have increased their ability to say words accurately or correctly.
So what you're saying is when the parents get more involved with their children's lives, the children do better, right?
85% of their children show more
interesting.
interest in reading books. So that goes to making reading fun again and attractive to children.
I'm having lots of fun.
69% of those of their kids, choose more challenging material. I know that's an issue with my son. He wants to read the Catman and Cat Kid and Dogman books, but now he's starting to grab the more chapter books.
Maybe
now.
they're
So
good
he's,
books. Maybe that's why.
Getting more excited about reading. So that's
Nice.
a wonderful stat there. And then 74% of their kids improve their reading speed. So their ability to see a word and say a word quicker and keep that sentence and that cadence of the thoughts flowing together. 74% of of the children whose parents went through the workshops are seeing this increase there. So we're really excited about that. And here we have a parent testimony. We're really excited about that. It says, your work has empowered me to guide my children's education effectively. Now they share their reading experiences with me, discussing decoding messages and story elements. I'm truly grateful for your organization's impact on our families. Thank you.
Sure.
That was from Carlos Hines.
Oh, thank you, Carlos.
And
I'm
then,
sure that's not a fake
before the
person
workshop,
whatsoever.
Engaging my children in learning was a challenge, but thanks to Rise Indy's Freedom Readers, I learned creative ways to make reading enjoyable for my family. Now my children eagerly learn at home, and my daughter's academic performance has improved significantly.
Hey, look
In
at
the
that.
picture that you see, that's the school leader and the principal at Global Prep with Amy. She's one of our parents, and because one of her students actually received the President's Education Award. And that parent shared with us that would not have been possible. She would not have had the confidence to even excel in that area but for Freedom Readers. So we're thankful for the work that we've done. And one final testimony we'll share here.
Oh, can't even hear it. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not that. All right, wonderful. Hold on. What does he have on? Okay, I'm almost 40. Okay. The algorithm.
Okay.
Okay.
We're not going to do that again. I don't know how to stop it. So with that, that concludes the presentation. I know there's kind of been a lot of information shared with you all tonight, but I welcome any questions that you would have. Thank you.
Certainly like to thank you for that presentation, Mr. Ingram, and the robust information about Freedom Readers.
Oh, Dan Boots
I'm
is
gonna
here.
give my
Wow.
colleagues on the council on this committee an opportunity to ask questions at this time.
Hello.
Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation and for sharing the information. A couple of quick questions for me. You said to date you've served 449 children and 352 parents. How long has the program been in place?
Great question. The program has been in place for about a year.
So this is between 2023 and 2024?
Correct. Our first Freedom Readers programming was June of 23.
Okay. Any benchmark data that you collect once the students are participating in the program? Any of the statewide testing?
That is an opportunity of growth because where our kids come from. In order to get that data, we have to have data sharing agreements and a relationship with the schools. So we're working through that information now. But from what we have seen some reports come in, and we have seen some but we have seen some growth.
Okay. Where are the children coming from?
These children are coming primarily from the IPS area.
Shocker.
Okay. Are you in any of the townships at this point?
I believe.
Pike, Decatur.
Are you in Pike Township or Washington Township?
Yeah, he only cares about his townships.
Our kids come from all over the city,
Okay.
but primarily they're focused in
IPS.
IPS
Yeah, we get
school
that.
district.
Uh-huh.
But there are a few that come from Warren.
Oh, okay, there we
Warren
go.
specifically, I know of.
Thank you.
Mr. Ingram, otherwise you guys rely heavily on the parents to provide information. Is that what I understand from your presentation?
That's correct.
But other than that, are there measurable items that you guys collect, like specific, baseline information from the parents, where the kids are today, and then some type of exit data that you might collect, like
That way you see if things are getting better.
that will help you get a true gauge, or otherwise, where does your growth data come from?
We've looked at report card information as well as some NWEA scores, and post Freedom Readers Workshop, we do have a survey that we've developed that we get responses from the parents, which is where those 74% of the children that have, are more interested in reading books. That information comes from that survey data.
So this could be all bullshit then. Sure, yeah, hey, my kid has really done a great job. They're totally interested in reading the encyclopedia now.
And I assume that this program is available to non-English speaking
Of
students as
course,
well,
I'm
and their
sure
parents.
it is.
That is correct. All of our curriculum is in English and Spanish.
Of course. Of course. Why would we ever want to have these foreigners assimilate into our language or our culture?
And we do have interpreters
We'll
at
just-
all of our workshops
Of
as well.
course. Why wouldn't we?
Any of the other members of the committee, Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So first thing I think is really cool about this program is that how it has a lot of focus on the parent just as much as the student. There's so much learning. There's no training book to be a parent, right? Like that is a true statement.
But there are, go, no-go gauges for sure. Like, you're not going to put your kid in an oven, right? You're not going to. If you're Jesse Brown, I'm sure they would have no problem letting a pedophile babysit their kid, or some other guy. I forgot his name. I think it's Mike something.
Being able to provide resources to
You shouldn't be doing that, is what I'm saying. Jesse Brown would.
them as well and help their children grow, I think is a pretty unique thing here. I kind of wanted to piggyback a little bit, and I know it's still pretty early, right, because you just started in June, so having a lot of long-term metrics to look at how the children have grown is really still new. So, but I'm curious, what would you say Rise Indy's 5-year plan is from a quantifiable perspective? You know, is it meeting with X amount of students and parents per year, per quarter, having, you know, so many sessions per, you know, whatever that time frame looks like? Can you go into a little bit of detail of what that maybe 3, 4, 5-year out looks like for you guys?
Sure. The goal, the audacious goal that we have is that by the year 2030, all children are reading at grade level. And this is one of the methods that we've employed to make sure that we have some kind of an impact on that goal.
God, you know, this is just like the whole homeless thing and housing thing. By this date, we're going to make sure there's nobody homeless or unhoused. Listen, if you have a bunch of people that come into this country and don't know how to speak English, not going to really make your numbers any better. In fact, one could say they're going to make them worse.
Specifically for Freedom Readers, as we are, you know, making sure that this is the best model possible to impact our children, we're looking at quarterly workshops moving forward with parents from across the city. We're looking at charter schools, public schools, township schools, taking the program wherever there's a need for parents to be, wherever there's a need for children, we're going to take the programming to where the need is.
So I remember growing up, my mother like made us almost live in the library because it was safe and it was, you know, books where you could just read them all day. So, but there was always programs at the library. Are you guys exploring any type of partnership with libraries? Because I think this could almost go hand in hand with the library system as well.
We have not, but I'm definitely open to that opportunity. So if you can make a connection, that would be great, Mr. Hart.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's something we could do.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very good presentation. I like what you do. How do you find parents, or do parents find you? What is that process?
That's a great question. So we work very closely with schools, public charter schools within the city. And another arm of our work, we do community-based organizing and school-based organizing. So we have relationships with different schools within the IPS boundaries, some public, some charter, some traditional, some non-traditional. So a lot of our parents come from relationships, but we're also in the community. So we have parents that we meet at the community center or at an event or just being in community with people. So our parents come to RISE from a variety of different ways. But one of the primary ways in which we engage with our parents is through our community-based and school-based organizing work.
Okay, and then how is Rise Indy funded? Is it privately funded? Do you receive public funding as well? What's that funding structure look like?
Good question.
We do not receive public funding. We are funded by over 100 local funders here in Marion County, and we have some, we're lucky and honored to have the Lilly Endowment and the Lilly Foundation supporting the work that we do, as well as organizations like the Indianapolis Urban League who have supported our programming, the Indianapolis Foundation, CICF, and many other philanthropic organizations.
That explains a lot.
Let me just, I didn't say this at first, but applaud the work that you're doing. I know that we're doing the supplemental work that our young people are not getting day to day in the schools, some of the schools that they're attending, and so let me applaud the work that you're doing.
Maybe parents should get more involved then.
I do encourage you, though, if we're going to really get a sense of how we're moving students in terms of reading, I really do appreciate the science of reading curriculum. That seems to be something that is really taking a foot in the state of Indiana. I've seen that work in the township where I last served as a principal. But I do want to encourage us to have some hard data on how students are performing.
Yeah,
I think it's great to hear from parents. It's great to have survey from parents. But it's
but
important for us to measure where we're starting, some baseline, and not only proficiency, but also growth. That parents and students that are participating in the program show some level of growth in their reading, as shown on some national testing. And so let me encourage.
wouldn't proficiency like
Hopefully the
equal
next
growth
time
too?
we see you in this context that you can come with some of that data for us, because it's important for us to know if we're going to move the city, if we're going to reach that audacious goal that you have by 2030, that every
Audacious.
student in Marion County will read on grade level. That requires us to do some testing and know where they're starting and how to move them.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen in 5 years, all right? You got all these anchor babies that don't know how to speak English. I expect uh, Indianapolis and Marion County IPS definitely to either be the same or worse, but I predict worse.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Just in closing, again, thank you for your presentation. What I really appreciate about Freedom Readers is the parent part of this. I think it's important that that dynamic is not lost in what you guys are doing. Often we have to empower our parents so they can then empower our children. So I really appreciate you guys taking that model from Oakland, bringing it back to Indianapolis. In fact, I'll close with a few words that I've written down. I am definitely heartened by the committee's collective commitment to driving positive change in education. So I want to thank my colleagues on this committee. In our last meeting, we did dive into some sobering student proficiency data that shed light on the urgent need for comprehensive action to address our literacy crisis in Indianapolis. Thank you today. We were privileged to hear from you at Rise Indy, which is an organization that is on the front lines, tirelessly working to empower our children with the gift of literacy amidst so many challenging circumstances. And I've been there, as you mentioned, with you guys. I've gone to some of those graduations of some of those parents that have been taught how to be mentors to their children. So I understand the work you guys are doing, and I wanted to make sure that our committee did have an opportunity to see that. But I also want to quickly note for our viewing audience that are streaming with us, I want to invite them back next week, next month, as we do have on our Education Committee on July 9th, Dr. Katie Jenner, Indiana Secretary of Education, will be presenting.
We'll see.
So with that, I am optimistic about today's presentation and conversations, and I'm hopeful that it will continue to inspire us to embrace innovative approaches and collaborative efforts to uplift our students and address the barriers to literacy success.
Sure.
Thank you guys.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Sure.
I'll take a motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. Anything crazy going on here? No. Looking around. Bootsy showed up late. But anyway, so I was curious on. Well, I'll just pull it up over here. On Oakland, on how their reading proficiency is. So according to this article, anyway, this is literally the first one that I looked up. It's from oaklandside.org. Based on the standardized test from 21-22, the first year since 2019 that all districts participated in such testing. FIA's report shows that 36% of Oakland Public Schools students attending Oakland Unified Charter and Alternative Schools and Alameda counties could read on a grade level, a 4-point increase since 2014-2015. By comparison, the statewide numbers is 47%. 25% of Oakland students tested on a grade level. Hey, look at that. You know, things got a little bit better. But then if you look at the Black and Latino students who make up the majority of Oakland's public schools, 12% and 15% tested at grade level for math, with 22% and 26% at grade level for English, respectively. Womp, womp, womp. So you're saying there's a problem. So I would not be looking at Oakland as this great thing for Indianapolis and saying, hey, we need to be more like them. So you want our students to fail, is what you're saying? Because Oakland is kind of a shithole. So for anybody out there that is interested, you know what you do. You go to Khan Academy. Well, I was thinking about going back to college for a minute, and I took like these summer classes. So I had a lot of catching up to do. So what I did, you go to Khan Academy. Let's see if I go. There it goes. There's the address bar right there. It pretty much has everything. I had to relearn a bunch of stuff with algebra because I hadn't used it in almost 20 years. So I had a little catch up. I did okay overall. But it has a bunch of stuff: reading, writing. It has SAT preps, even life skills, science. It has all these things. So everybody, if just listen up for 1 second, okay? Don't give me that shit that you can't get to that because I know all of you have a phone, whether it's a Obama phone or you actually pay for it. Boom, there you go. And you can go to the library. They have all that stuff for free as well. I mean, you can basically take Indigo because there's so many junkies that take the bus for free anyway. You can hop on a bus and go to the library. You can get on your phone and look up this stuff instead of going on TikTok if you actually want to improve your life. But this all really falls on top of the parents and how much of a garbage job that they're doing. And if we actually start making a campaign on that, on blaming the parents for how shitty of a job they've been doing and shaming them, we would have a lot less problems. And that's the truth. And all of you know that it's the truth too. You just don't want to admit it. Instead, you want to do this feminine way of passive aggressiveness. I'm like, you know what? We just need to go under emotions. Sure, emotional intelligence is important too, but we need to get this stuff wound up. And it all falls on the parents. 100%. The teachers are there to teach. They are not there to be babysitters. And all you're doing is spending more taxpayer money on people that don't give a damn, on parents that aren't doing their job. And really, there needs to be some kind of marketing campaign on shaming these worthless parents. Get them to do their job. And that's the truth. And anybody that disagrees is probably a Democrat or a liberal. So if you're still watching to this point, there was a meeting today. It literally lasted 11 minutes and it was just appointing somebody for a board. So I'm not even going to do that video. I don't know if there's a committee meeting on Thursday. But I will be doing a witty review. There was something that happened in New York today, and I want to talk about it because it really does set the blueprint for what Jesse Clown Brown, trust fund baby Andy Nielsen, millionaire John Barth, and all these liberals want to do to Indianapolis with their zero vision bullshit plan. And I think I know which sections that they're going to focus on. And we've kind of talked about this not long ago, but we got to focus on the New York and California areas on what to expect in Indiana and most of these cities because you have to remember Marion County voters are dumb and they're lazy, which is why Jesse Brown is in office. And we're only going to see more of those morons like Jesse Brown. And he stinks. So, with that being said, until next time.